A lot of people dismiss the buildup in personal debt, consumer debt in the U.S.
I mean, the numbers are staggering in terms of how many millennials get caught up in this bad debt cycle.
Borrowing boom, the strong U.S. economy fueling a record level of consumer debt.
$14 trillion in debt.
Household debt levels overall, including credit cards, student loans, and mortgages, are at the highest levels since 2008.
What if I told you someone could make six figures, spend over $3,000 every single month, and still own almost nothing? That's basically what modern life has become. We don't buy things anymore. We finance them. Cars, phones, furniture, software, even groceries in some cases. Everything became a monthly payment. And the dangerous part is, those payments feel affordable, so people stop asking what something actually costs. They only ask one question: can I afford the monthly payment? And that mindset is quietly keeping millions of people broke, no matter how much money they make.
Americans are expected to spend as much as $730 billion this holiday season, and many, according to a recent survey, will go into debt.
Outstanding consumer credit card debt, it's at a record.
Well, households are taking on more debt, a lot more. In fact, they now owe a record amount of it.
U.S. credit card debt ending 2018 at a record.
30 years ago, if you wanted a car, you asked one simple question: how much does it cost? If the answer was $15,000, you either had $15,000 or you didn't. Today, that question barely exists anymore. Now the average new car payment is $767 a month, and almost nobody talks about the total price. The entire conversation changed. Salespeople don't sell you the car anymore. They sell you the payment. So instead of hearing, "This car costs $50,000," you hear, "It's only $767 a month." And somehow, a $50,000 vehicle suddenly feels affordable. That word "only" is doing a dangerous amount of psychological work, because $767 doesn't feel massive compared to a $4,000 monthly paycheck. But the real math is brutal. The average auto loan now lasts nearly 69 months, almost 6 years, at $767 a month. That's over $52,000 paid for a depreciating asset. And after all those payments, the car might only be worth $18,000. But most people never emotionally process those numbers. Their brain only processes one thing: can I afford the monthly payment? That's the trap. The monthly payment became a mental shortcut that bypasses real cost analysis. And once companies realized how powerful that shortcut was, they started applying it to everything. Your phone stopped costing $800 and became just $35 a month. Your couch became 4 easy payments. Streaming services became subscriptions. Software became subscriptions. Even coffee became a monthly membership.
We went from a time of easy credit to now a time where we're more credit constrained.
I'm paying a ton of money right now for a car that I don't really need.
So that when customers and guests are online researching what kind of vehicle they want.
The goal was never ownership anymore. The goal became permanent billing. And that shift quietly changed how people think about money itself. Because every dollar going toward payments is a dollar that isn't building wealth. It isn't being invested. It isn't compounding. It isn't building an emergency fund, or helping you buy a home, or creating financial freedom. It's flowing directly to lenders and corporations instead. The average person now spends $219 every month on subscriptions across more than 8 different services. But here's the scary part. Most people think they only spend around $86. That's a massive perception gap. People genuinely lost track of what they're paying for. And that didn't happen accidentally. Companies realized something incredibly profitable. The smaller a payment feels, the less people question it. So instead of selling you a $500 software package, they charge you $39 a month. Instead of asking for $1,200 upfront for a gym membership, they ask for just $99 monthly.
The cost of streaming is going up. Disney is the latest player to announce price hikes, raising costs.
And one of the reasons why they're raising the prices on the ad-free plans is they're trying to convince consumers, well, don't cut us out entirely, just watch us with ads.
The math barely changes, but the psychology changes completely. And it works so well. The subscription economy absolutely exploded. The global subscription market was worth over $536 billion in 2025. And is projected to approach $860 billion by 2026. That kind of growth doesn't happen because products suddenly became life-changing. It happens because companies discovered something terrifying. Getting paid forever is far more profitable than getting paid once. And nowhere is that more obvious than smartphones. 15 years ago, you bought a phone, used it for years, and eventually replaced it. Now, most people finance a $1,000 phone through monthly installments. So instead of emotionally reacting to a four-figure purchase, they react to only $35 a month. And psychologically, that feels harmless. But here's what actually happens. The 30-month payment ends. And instead of finally owning the phone with zero payment, people immediately upgrade into another financing plan, which means the payment never disappears. Ever. That's the trap. You're not really buying technology anymore. You're renting your digital life. And once a payment becomes part of your monthly routine, it stops feeling optional. It becomes normalized, expected, part of your identity. People start viewing themselves as someone who can afford the latest phone.
So I'm 31 years old, about 20K in debt. Whatever.
I just got my first credit card at 20 years old, and man, it feels good to buy things for free.
My husband and I are in our 20s, and we are $640,385 in debt.
When in reality, they've just normalized permanent debt. And the real danger isn't only the money leaving your account every month, it's what that money could have become instead. So be honest. How many monthly payments are hitting your account right now that you barely even think about anymore? Phone payments, subscriptions, streaming services, car payments. Comment below how many you think you actually have. Because in the next section, we're going to calculate what all those payments could have become if they were invested instead. The subscription economy was never created to make your life easier. It was created to make corporate revenue predictable. And once you see the math, you can't unsee it. Take buy now, pay later services like Klarna or Afterpay. When you finance a $500 purchase, the store pays the financing company a percentage of that sale, usually around 6% plus additional fees. So on a $500 purchase, roughly $30 instantly goes to the financing company. And businesses aren't paying that out of kindness. They build those costs directly into prices, which means everyone pays more, even people using cash. But the real business model isn't the fees, it's behavioral psychology. Because when companies split a large purchase into tiny payments, people stop emotionally reacting to the true cost. A $500 purchase feels expensive. 4 payments of $125 feels manageable, so people spend more often, on things they normally would have walked away from. And companies know this works. That's why the buy now, pay later market exploded to over $560 billion in gross merchandise volume. But underneath all that growth, there's another reality most people never talk about. A massive percentage of users miss payments.
The cost to feed families is so high that more Americans are taking out short-term loans just to buy their groceries. But many are then missing payments on that very bill.
Some studies show over a third of users paid late fees at least once, which means the system marketed as interest-free still finds ways to profit when people fall behind. That's the part nobody advertises. The entire model is designed to feel painless up front, while quietly extracting as much money from your future income as possible. And every payment you normalize is money no longer working for you. It's not compounding, it's not building freedom, it's flowing directly into corporate earnings and shareholder profits instead. And once people get trapped in enough monthly payments, most never fully escape the cycle. But this is where the monthly payment trap becomes financially devastating. Let's go back to that average $767 car payment. That's over $9,200 every single year leaving your account. Now imagine something different. Instead of sending that $767 to a lender every month, you invested it at a conservative 7% annual return. That money could grow to over $375,000 in 20 years. From one monthly payment. That's the part most people never calculate, because they're trained to think about affordability, not long-term wealth. They see the payment leaving their checking account, but they never see what that money could have become instead. And the trap gets even worse when you realize most car loans now last nearly 6 years. Almost 70 months of payments. But here's what usually happens after those 6 years. People don't suddenly start investing the extra money. They finance another car. Maybe the old one needs repairs. Maybe they want something newer. Maybe life changed. But either way, The payment never actually disappears. It just transfers to the next vehicle. And that's the real wealth killer. Most people aren't making one car payment in their lifetime. They're making car payments forever, which means decade after decade. Their money never gets the chance to compound. And compound interest is one of the few financial forces powerful enough to actually create freedom. So when someone in their 20s signs up for years of monthly payments, they're not only buying transportation, they're trading away future investment growth, potential retirement money, potential home equity, potential financial independence. The opportunity cost is enormous, but companies never want you thinking about opportunity cost. They want you focused on one thing. Can you afford the monthly payment? Because once people start thinking monthly instead of long-term, financing becomes normal. Dependency becomes normal, and that dependency is incredibly profitable. Total auto debt in America reached roughly $1.68 trillion by the end of 2025. That's trillions of dollars flowing toward lenders instead of building wealth for families. And the system works exactly the way it was designed to work. Keep people focused on affordability instead of ownership. Keep them thinking short-term instead of long-term, and keep the payments flowing forever. The monthly payment trap isn't only about bad spending habits, it's about what happens when an entire economy gets rebuilt around permanent debt.
Americans have debt, a lot of debt.
Record-breaking consumer debt
reached a record $18.6 trillion from July through September.
Credit card debt is very, very high interest rate. Typically 13% is the average. It's the highest ever.
As of 2026, total consumer debt in America reached $18.8 trillion. And the average person now carries over $105,000 in debt. That means millions of people wake up every month already owing money before they even buy anything new. And when you break the numbers down, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Credit card debt exploded past $1.3 trillion. Auto loan debt climbed toward $1.7 trillion. And every one of those payments represents future income already claimed by someone else. But wealthy people figured something out decades ago. They don't rent their lifestyle, they buy assets. While most people finance cars that lose value every year. Wealthy people buy investments that generate cash flow. While most people subscribe to products, wealthy people own shares in the companies selling those subscriptions. That mindset difference changes everything. Most people ask, can I afford the monthly payment? Wealthy people ask, will this make me money or cost me money? And once you start thinking that way, you begin seeing purchases completely differently, because every dollar going toward payments is a dollar that never compounds, never grows, never builds freedom. So if you want to escape the trap, here's exactly what you need to do right now. First, grab a pen and paper or open a notes app on your phone. List every single recurring payment coming out of your account. Car payments, phone payments, subscriptions, memberships, financing plans, everything. Write down the monthly amount next to each one, then add them all up. That total is how much of your future income is already claimed by other people every single month. Next, pick the 3 payments that feel least essential to your actual life. Cancel them today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Go to the websites, call the companies, whatever it takes. Cancel them before you finish watching this video. Then take that money you just freed up and immediately set up an automatic investment, even if it's only $50 a month. Open a low-cost index fund account and automate the transfer, because here's what happens when you start investing instead of paying. Your money starts working for you instead of against you. It compounds, it grows, it builds freedom. Finally, before you make any major purchase going forward, calculate the total cost over the entire payment period. Not the monthly payment, the actual amount leaving your life. Then ask yourself, what could this money become if I invested it instead? Because once you see the real numbers, you can't unsee them. The monthly payment trap only works when people don't do the math. So do the math. Cancel something today, start investing that money immediately, and stop letting corporations rent your future income. Your financial freedom depends on it.